I think one of the hardest things to admit, whether we want to admit it or not, as human beings, is when we are wrong. It's something about looking another person in the eye, knowing full well the things that you said in the past with complete confidence and saying, I was wrong. All right. And that is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. For all you Dave Ramsey supporters that told me for years on years, I got on this YouTube channel talked about low interest rate debt doesn't count. You can get a higher return in the stock market. All of this good stuff. I'm here to tell you that I've changed my mind. I have come renewed on the idea that all debt is not bad debt. And I'm going to be laying out why in this video. So in order to have full context in this video, I think I should go through a little bit of background about what I've talked about in the past. Previously, my stance on this channel has always been that if you have debt below 4%, then you will be better off investing your money in the stock market or in any other investment strategy that earns above 4%, all the way up to about 8 to 10% in some kind of stock market or mutual fund. And that would absolutely make sense on paper, because if you're paying 4% in debt and then you're investing at an 8% rate of return, you are getting 4% profit on the meantime. And the thing with that is that it doesn't take into account one very important factor. Humans are not rational beings, meaning that yes, on paper it may sound like it's good, but the important thing is that you must keep your money invested in order for this to be beneficial, in order for this to work. If you're not keeping your money invested, or if you succumb to temptations, then not only will you be in a hole, you also will be more likely to be unable to escape that hole if you get more debt. For example, this is how the human psychology works. Let's say you are a person who has $50,000 in low interest debt. By low interest debt, I mean anywhere from 2 to 4%. And you're also a person who's financially frugal, meaning that you budget, you do everything you can to save and invest money. And up to this point in your life, you have invested $100,000. Now your $100,000, if invested in an S&P 500 index fund or if invested in a growth index fund, can earn anywhere from 8 to 10% a year. And honestly, if you let that money sit in that investment account, then you should have no issues and have no worries with having to pay off your debt. But what happens in this scenario is that when human beings get complacent, they think that, hey, I only have $50,000 in debt, I have $100,000 in the stock market, I can obviously easily pay this debt off if I really wanted to. So what I'm going to do now is just sprinkle a little bit more debt on top of this. Maybe it's a little bit more credit card debt, maybe it's a little bit more student loans, but whatever it is, instead of paying down your $50,000 debt, you get the temptation to start to sprinkle a little bit more on top of it, because you already have $50,000. What's $51,000? What's $52,000? What's $60,000 even? And that is where you as a human start to backtrack on your ability to build wealth, because now you have become complacent with your lifestyle and you're starting to go away with what made you build wealth in the first place. So Dave Ramsey methodology of getting out of debt and staying out of debt doesn't sound so crazy to me anymore, because if you are completely out of debt, if you don't have any debt on your personal balance sheet whatsoever, it is much easier to say that I am never going to borrow another cent from anyone ever again. Having that ability to say no to getting into any debt at all is much easier to do than saying no to just getting a little bit more. Because once you already have debt, it is so much easier for you to convince yourself to get just a little bit more debt. And that is something that I came to terms with when I read Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover. And I realized that all of these years, I was making my decisions based on pure calculations without taking into account the human emotion involved in the equation. And because of that, I saw in my own life when I went out and bought a 2022 Tesla Model Y that this is exactly what he was talking about. He was saying that if you get out of debt and stay out of debt, you are freeing up your income, and that is your number one wealth building tool. But if you keep sprinkling on more debt to your income, you are further diminishing your ability to build wealth. Now, I don't think me buying a car is going to eliminate my ability to build wealth whatsoever, because I'm almost done paying with the car. However, as I was paying off the loan on the car, I kept constantly thinking, what if I put this money in the stock market? What if I put this money in an index fund instead of paying back this loan? How much further could I be on my financial freedom journey instead of having this nice car in the garage? And now having a nice car is great, especially as an influencer. I'm able to monetize the things that I do with the car, but it still nags me as a personal finance enthusiast, all of the things that I could have done with the $77,000 that I ended up paying for the car. So honestly, for the meat and potatoes in this video, I'm gonna leave you with 3 or 4 tips in order to help you gauge whether you should be focusing on getting out of debt or investing your money, whether you have a high income or a low income or not. So the first thing I want you to measure is your ability to limit your temptations. If you are a person who is easily swayed by the highs and lows of store sales or new products coming out, whether it's a newer version of your car or a newer model of your iPhone, whatever it may be, if you are a person who gets easily excited about these things, I would definitely recommend you to pay off your debt instead of investing your money. Even if you make well above the amount of money that you pay in debt payments, still focus on getting out of debt, because all it takes is one day, one sliver of impulse, one sliver of overwhelming temptation for you to erase 12 months worth of budgeting. And you don't want to work so hard for a year or 2 years just for your future self to throw it all away for a new model of anything in the store and putting you back right at ground zero. That could potentially be one of the worst feelings in the world, because you were so strong for so long and one moment of weakness left you without any money to your name. So knowing if and how you can limit your temptations can definitely be a deciding factor on whether or not you want to pay off your debt. But I recommend that knowing that you are a human being, knowing that you are inclined naturally to give into some form of temptation, you should probably try to safeguard yourself in any means necessary from being able to give into those temptations. And as I said earlier in this video, by having the ability to say that you are completely out of debt and that you are never going to get in another cent of debt in the future, it does insulate yourself from easily accessing more debt in the future. If you cut up your credit cards, you won't be able to use your credit cards. You only have your cash on hand. And I would definitely recommend that for some people who are in the first steps of building wealth. And then the next thing you want to do in your ability to start building wealth is to decide whether or not you are complacent in your financial journey. People who are complacent tend to take more risks because they feel more comfortable with their day-to-day lives. I only say this because in my own life, when I became complacent and I stopped posting videos on YouTube, I thought maybe I can spend a little bit more money on Christmas this year. Maybe I can spend a little bit more money on that nice present or that nice gift because I'm making a good bit of money. Why not? I can always make it back. And by becoming complacent, you start to slowly forget the drive that you had when you started on your financial freedom journey, the drive that you had when you first started budgeting. You start to forget the end goal that you have in the future because you only think about the day-to-day. And a great way to avoid becoming complacent is to have a vision board of your end goal in mind. I know firsthand that the days are long, but the years go by really fast. It was at 1.7 months since I posted on YouTube, and looking back, that seemed to go by in a flash. But every single day within those 7 months, I just couldn't get up and record a video because it seemed like the day didn't have enough time in it because I had become complacent with where I was at in life. So try to avoid becoming complacent, and by avoiding your complacency, you would then start to reduce the amount of risk that you are willing to take in your life because you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then the last and the most major reason why I agree with Dave Ramsey now is that when you pay off your debt, number one, you get a feeling of accomplishment, but number two, you get a guaranteed return on your money. Now, I'm not saying go get debt just to pay off debt to get a return, but I'm saying if you already have debt that you can't get rid of, by paying off your debt, whether that debt is at a 2% interest rate or a 10% interest rate, as soon as you pay off that debt, you're going to be freeing up that cash flow and you're going to be freeing up that interest payment on a month-to-month basis. And therefore, you're going to be immediately capturing whatever interest rate you was paying your money at and putting that money back into your pocket and able to go towards building your wealth in the future. So understanding all of these factors now, one of my major focuses moving forward this year is going to be getting completely out of debt. After I pay off all of my consumer debt, which I should be done with in the next few months, I am then going to be shifting my focus to maxing out my 401ks and Roth IRAs. And only after those two retirement accounts are maxed out will I start contributing back to my brokerage account. And in the meantime of this, if you are trying to follow this journey as well, you also want to make sure you have a fully funded emergency fund in place that is at least 1 to 3 months worth of your spending expenses. Even though this method isn't as pretty because you don't get to see your stock account grow, I guarantee you that it would be one of the most beneficial things that you can do for your financial health and for your financial future, because you'll be so much less likely to get into more debt in the future. If you want to see more videos about this topic or about my journey to become completely debt free, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, as I am posting a ton of new videos. And also, if you want a head start on your debt freedom journey, if you click the link in the description below and sign up to the public app, you'll get a free stock on me valued anywhere from $300 to $300. Let me know what stock you get in the comments if you do decide to sign up and take advantage of that offer. However, it would also mean a ton to me if you like this video, and if you do like this video, then stay tuned and I will see you in the next one, guys.